This can either be a warning sign for the Warriors or it can be a wake-up call. I believe it will be a wake-up call, and we will all be admitting something that many, many, many don't want to admit. The KD has taken his place as the best player on the planet.
Well, first of all, I would not disagree with you so long as KD gets up and wakes the hell up and understands what's happening to him. He cannot continue to look the way that he's looked in his first two games. Getting ejected in game one, picking up 2 offensive fouls in 47 seconds, getting completely rattled and taken out of his own games, having more turnovers than shot attempts yesterday, and his shot attempts equaling Patrick Beverley. If that continues in this series, I don't want to hear a damn thing about KD. I agree with you that he's right there, but I don't want to hear anything about him unless he handles his business in this series and stop letting Patrick Beverley get to him. As difficult as that may be, it's a bad look for somebody that wants to be recognized as the best in the world. And what I would also say to you, Will, I would throw James Harden into that equation. We could talk about Steph Curry all we want to. We know how sensational Steph Curry is. We know when he gets going, it's something special to behold. Make no mistake about it. But he ain't the one that averaged 36 this year. This is guy, I mean, he might shoot, better from three-point range or whatever. But he hasn't had to carry the Warriors the way James Harden has had to carry the Houston Rockets franchise. The time has come for us, not just in America, but worldwide, to understand the greatness that we are witnessing from James Harden. Now, if you want to sit up there and say the Greek Freak, KD, or anybody else, that's fine. That's debatable. But what is not debatable is that James Harden belongs in that conversation when you consider the offensive juggernaut that he is. They beat Golden State, if I remember correctly, guys, 3 or 4 times this year. Golden State got them the last time they met. They beat Golden State the first 2 or 3 times that they faced one another. James Harden hit a shot that either won it or sent it to overtime. James Harden is the real deal. He's the reigning league MVP. He's a top 2 candidate for league MVP honors, so it's possible that he might win back-to-back MVP awards. We're not having this conversation without including James Harden in this discussion.
James Harden is absolutely in the conversation. In fact, the names every year nowadays change, except for Harden's in the MVP regular season race. Like, is it Harden or Steph? Is it Harden or KD? Is it Harden or the Freak? Is it, but it's always Harden right there, and that tells you something. Really what it tells you is he's one postseason run away, one clutch postseason away from taking the crown as the best player in the world. So Harden's in the conversation. KD has plateaued. KD's not getting any better. He's a great player. He's been the same for several seasons. And one of the problems with his move to Golden State is that it's virtually impossible to prove that he's the best player in the league, because Paul George or Kawhi Leonard are an elite two-way wing on that Golden State team. You just add that guy. Of course they're never going to lose. They won 73 games the year before and got to a Game 7 of the title and should have won, really. And the year before that, they won the championship. So, of course, if you add a two-way all-star elite wing, they're going to win. It doesn't have to be Kevin Durant. It could have been Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Hard for KD to prove it under those circumstances, especially when you look at the numbers on Golden State, the plus-minus, the wins and losses. And, in fact, with or without KD, they're virtually the same team. Of course, in high-leverage situations, he's going to help you, but they're virtually the same team. With or without Steph, they're completely different. So, in fact, he's put himself in a position where Steph looks better than he does. Very tough for KD to prove it. I don't think he's getting any better. Know who is getting better? The Greek Freak. He is significantly better according to all numbers and the eyeball test than he was last year. And given his age and the trajectory of his career, he's still ascending. So of everyone there who you'd say, who would you put your money on as the best bet to take the crown from LeBron? It's the Greek Freak. It's age, it's ascension. No. It's, by the way, how he's played in the playoffs. No. It's how he's carried the team.
Steven,
No, go ahead, Molly. I mean,
I was just going to say, I asked you guys who will, and I was going to go to Stephen A. on this. Will, feel free to answer it. But who needs to step up? Who needs to step up
and I would say that James Harden
LeBron?
Too. I would say that that's James Harden's too, James Harden as well. Because guess what? If the Milwaukee Bucks win, which they will this first round, and then they lose to Boston in the next round, or they lose to Toronto in the conference finals, because I still don't believe Orlando is going to beat Toronto, even though I agree with my man Damon Jones. That's going to be a really tough series because Orlando is to be respected. I'm just of the mindset that Milwaukee and the Greek Freak are essentially playing with house money. We expect some things from the Greek Freak, but the word expectation doesn't come attached with the Milwaukee Bucks. They come attached with the Houston Rockets, at least in terms of go up against Golden State, because outside of Golden State, You don't expect anybody to give them problems in the Western Conference. Now, obviously, Golden State is coming up the next round. But I'm just simply saying that when you look at Houston, because of what we saw last year, because of what we saw from James Harden last year, because of what we see from him this year, and the load that he's had to carry, and they won by 32 in their Game 1 victory over the Utah Jazz. If you suddenly wet the bed and don't produce in the postseason, it will be a blemish on the career of James Harden, the likes of which I don't believe he'll overcome, because we're looking at him and saying, how much better can you get? We know that the Greek Freak is 24 years old. He's just growing and growing and growing, Max. That's different. James Harden, primarily because of the people like you and the things that what you said about him, this is it. You show her, he's got to show up,
Max,
in this postseason.
I want to jump in because I want to respond to something you just said as well, Max. The answer, I think there's two names. You've changed it now from who will to who will need to show it to gain the title this playoffs. And Stephen A's right on one of the names. It's James Harden. James Harden can claim all the regular season MVPs and be in the discussion for regular season MVP year in and year out. But until it happens in the playoffs, he's not going to take the crown from LeBron. He's not going to beat KD or Giannis in that argument until he can show exactly, and I don't want to belabor it because you laid it out perfectly, Stephen A., exactly what we expect from James Harden and the Houston Rockets. But the other name that needs to step up to replace LeBron is Kevin Durant. And it's because of people like you, Max. It's because you will constantly look for reasons to discount what he has done. Even if he has plateaued, as you point out. Even if he's plateaued. Well, he's plateaued with 2 straight NBA Finals MVPs. And he has done something that I still contend you do not give credit for. And that is he has made his game fit into a winning system. He's shown he can be the best player on a team in Oklahoma City, and he's shown he can also play within a winning system. If we want to say James Harden or Giannis can do that, we have to acknowledge it's just theory. It's projection. We know KD can, but he's going to have to do it again this year.